KISSA In-Store Radio, broadcasts for the curious.
Good evening, everybody. This is Yoshi and Nakul. Welcome to our third edition of our residency titled Pressed Identities, streaming live via Antariksh Radio from Veg Non-Veg Gurgaon. A big thank you to Antariksh Records and Antariksh Daddy for having us here. Yeah.
This is the third edition of our show called Pressed Identities, where we take you through the collection of the music that both of us have as selectors, be it digital or vinyl. And we're going to have conversations about the music, how it came to be, the artists, the albums, the cultural landscape at the time.
Right.
Yeah, all of that. Don't forget to check out everything else that's been happening on the KISSA In-Store Radio. We have Moss and Noni Mouse coming up next after our slot. We even have a curation at Jonna happening at 9 p.m. where
I'll be playing.
you'll be playing.
I'll be playing some records for you. A lot of disco, a lot of funk, a lot of timeless classics. Again, curated by Antariksh Records. So if you're in Delhi in the evening, make sure you drop by Genre as well.
For sure. For all the ones that are tuned in live, online, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and do engage in the comment section as well. It kind of helps us grow this into bigger things. And all your love is extremely appreciated. Across the last 3 episodes, we have touched upon Indian disco, we've touched upon Asian underground music as well.
Right.
And for the ones tuned in, if from the music you haven't been able to figure it out already, today's theme is jazz.
But like it has been, and such has been the case with our previous editions as well, we always try and make it a point to look east instead of looking west.
Correct.
So while keeping the theme of jazz alive, we're going to continue that tradition, look eastwards, look within, and take you through some very interesting music across many decades.
Yeah.
Starting from the 1960s.
And then jumping all the way
to the 2020s. So yeah.
Before we saw terms like world music or fusion come within the commonplace, we kind of had this thing called the Indo Jazz Suite, and the music that you're listening to right now is from that album. It was released in 1966, and it was quite a remarkable collaboration between two artists called Joe Harriet and
John Mayer.
John Mayer.
The Indian John Mayer.
The Indian John Mayer, not the pop
Not
singer
the pop, not
John
the pop
Mayer.
artist.
Yeah.
Joe Harriet was a Jamaican-born saxophonist,
Yeah.
and John Mayer was an Indian composer and violinist from Calcutta. John Mayer was interestingly trained in Western classical music, but he was very much in touch with Indian classical tradition. And throughout this album, the Indo-Jazz Suite, you'll see the coming together of those two worlds. Interestingly, the vast majority of this album has been composed and put together by John Mayer.
Most people usually think that the meeting of the Western music with the Indian sound, it kind of came and began with the collaboration of Ravi Shankar and the Beatles, especially
After Norwegian Wood
after Norwegian Wood
in
correct.
1965.
But we also had this album, the Indo-Jazz Suite, that was released in 1966, and
It went much further.
it definitely went much further. Instead of borrowing Indian sounds, it kind of had a mixture of jazz instrumentation, jazz quintet, along with like an Indian classical ensemble.
Right. Hence, it's called a double quintet.
Yeah.
So we have a jazz quintet made up of 5 jazz musicians, and we have an Indian classical ensemble also made up of another 5 musicians. And yes, hence the term double quintet. 10 musicians working as one ensemble, and a very new musical language for that time. At
For
least.
sure, for sure. Some could say quite revolutionary at the time as well. Coming to the artists, we have Joe Harriet, who was an Jamaican alto saxophonist who was raised in Britain,
Right.
and
Very
he-
overshadowed by
quite a lot of the American legends.
American jazz musicians.
Correct.
But Joe Harriet was extremely forward-thinking
For his time, for
for
sure.
his time. Yeah.
For sure. And even before free jazz kind of became famous, Joe Harriet was already experimenting with the free roam jazz sound.
Right.
And a lot of improvisation was taking place back in the UK.
Right.
And yeah, coming to John Mayer, he was an Indian-born vinylist and a composer from Calcutta who was quite trained in Western classical music, but remaining deeply rooted in the Indian classical music
Right.
sound as well. So his vision was not simply to kind of combine two styles. It was more him trying to figure out how to create a compositional system. Correct.
Where both of these could coexist
Correct.
without it seeming like Indian instruments being used for ornamentation.
For sure.
It didn't. Really didn't want. I mean, both of them really didn't want it to seem like the Indian instruments were being used for decorative purposes.
Correct.
So this is an experiment in that regard.
For sure. And coming to the double quintet side of things, we had 5 different artists who were featured as jazz musicians. They were taking control of the alto saxophone, the trumpet, the piano, the drums,
The bass.
the bass as well. And then we had 5 Indian musicians who heavily focused on the guitar, sitar, the
tabla, the tanpura,
the tambura, and the violin and the flute as well.
of course.
So, yeah, the first song that we heard earlier, the name of the song was Overture, and it was quite an opening piece that kind of introduces the concept of this record in itself. And yeah, the next one that we'll be taking you through is called Rag Megha, and yeah, let's get on with it.
Rag Megh, as some of you might know, is traditionally associated with monsoon and rain. So you can hear the environment of the song becoming more spacious and meditative. Rather than having a conventional jazz solo section, the interesting aspect of this particular track is that the solos emerge very gradually and almost organically from the raga itself.
Yeah, we can perhaps see a lot of drone improvisation sounds within this as well. A lot of different rhythmic patterns in the music, and
very interesting combination of both the drums and the tabla.
Correct.
interestingly, this whole album was composed within a span of just 1 month and recorded in the span of just 2 days in London. Even 60 years later, this album sounds surprisingly fresh, new, and adventurous.
A few interesting facts about this, that John Mayer, in fact, recorded, got all of the compositions ready within a month's time, and they recorded this within 2 days' time back in London. All right, that was the first album that we kind of covered for today. And the second one that we'll get into now is called Night Dreams, direct-to-disc recording sessions. And it was not completely just another jazz album. It was quite an experiment with trust.
Of course.
For decades, we've seen jazz musicians kind of try to fuse traditions together, but Sarathi Korwar, the artist that we'll be talking about here, he kind of suggested something very different while through the process of making this album.
And asked a very interesting question.
Yeah, that what happens if the recording itself becomes
an act of improvisation.
Correct.
Where the process is more important than the final product.
Correct. And now that philosophy is what perfectly mirrors both jazz and the Indian classical music performance traditions. Because
just the aspect and the importance of improvisation is something that binds both of these forms, or both of these types of music together.
For sure.
It's an essential aspect of the Indian classical tradition as well as an essential aspect of jazz. And Sarathi Korwar felt that that is the most important aspect that could tie both of these things together.
Right. Coming to who Sarathi Korwar is.
Right.
He was born in the United States. He was raised in Ahmedabad, and then later on moved to London. And this geographical journey is quite important to understand because of the fact that a lot of his music is tied to the geographical, to the spiritual.
To his experiences in general.
Correct.
Right.
And and along with the Oaaza collective. Now the word Oaaza in itself refers to spontaneous creation or improvisation in the Indian classical music. And we've got quite a diverse lineup here. We've got Sarathi Korwar on the drums. We have Tamar Osborne on the saxophone. We have
Achutan Shri Pathamanan
on the violin.
Right.
Thanks for that.
Right.
We have Giuliano
Mordarelli
on the guitar.
And Al Maxwin on the keyboards.
Yeah, sorry for butchering the names if we did. But yeah, the interesting part about it here is that no one was actually trying to represent India.
Right.
They were just trying to represent jazz in itself. So yeah, we'll get to the first track. and it's kind of like a surprise for you all, the ones who have tuned in for our previous episodes as well.
Right.
So if anyone can pick it up, do mention in the comments. And yeah, let's get on with it.
This is Sarthi Korvar's reinterpretation of one of my favorite songs called IC 408 by State of Bengal.
Yeah.
Those who may not know, State of Bengal was one of the architects of the Asian underground movement, and Sarthi Korvar in essence is acknowledging an ancestor of the Asian underground movement, and Sarthi Korvar kind of transforms it from an electronic production into an acoustic and improvised performance, showing that influence can indeed
also become dialogue. Yeah. One of the most fascinating things about this album was that it was actually released by a Dutch label called Night Dreamer, and they've really extensively worked throughout the time to actually bring back one of the oldest recording methods, which is
called direct-to-disc.
Yeah, correct. And they're actually doing this because they're trying to preserve a philosophy. They're trying to show that performance is actually what matters more than just perfection. So, yeah, we can perhaps actually also see it with the catalog. The music that's been out from this label throughout the years.
Right.
And they've associated with a lot of artists that don't fit into a certain mold. They rely quite heavily on improvisation as a skill in their music as well.
Right.
Yeah, coming to what direct-to-disc
Actually is. Right. So, I mean, commonly in the modern era, what we see is there's a performance. It is recorded onto a computer. It's edited heavily, usually on the computer or on on a DAW, and then it's mixed, mastered, and sometimes pressed to vinyl.
Yeah, those are like the modern day
This is how the
technique,
process
for
is
sure.
today, right?
But like back in the 1950s, we had a more direct approach to it, just like the
Correct.
name suggests.
So there was one performance. It was put to a cutting lathe, and then we had the vinyl master made from the cutting lathe, and
Right.
then it was pressed onto vinyl. But the interesting aspect about direct to disc is that there is no editing. There are no overdubs. There are no second takes, and there is no fixing mistakes.
Yeah,
So if someone makes a mistake 12 minutes into a track, everybody starts from
from
it's back to
scratch,
square one. Everyone
they have
starts
to
from
get
scratch,
back to it.
and everyone starts again. And just imagine recording an entire radio show or recording an entire album with absolutely no possibility of editing anything afterwards.
The level of concentration one will need for that, it's beyond imaginable, actually.
Right.
That's what's actually so good about this, because through this album, perfection was never the goal here. It was more about collaboration, it was more about performance, it was about how people can come together and kind of take a concept, run with it, and see how it takes throughout the performance itself.
Right. So I have like a small snippet of what Korwar had actually said. And he said that the only way this format made sense was to embrace complete spontaneity. Rather than arriving with tightly rehearsed arrangements, the whole group recorded almost entirely improvised music. And as Nakul said, prioritizing the process over the product. This is one of my most, one of the favorite aspects about this album, which is that before recording, the musicians did breathing exercises inspired by pranayam and the Wim Hof method to try and center themselves and to try and become more receptive to each other's ideas.
Notice how this track quite clearly signifies the method that they took. They started off with the rhythm of what the actual original version of Flight IC408 was, and they completely improvised in the middle, took it to some other direction altogether, and then they kind of got it back in the last snippet of what we heard just now.
Right.
Yeah. This was Flight IC408. The next track that we have from this album is called Intimate Enemy. And yeah, let's get on with it. I'd like to read out the transcript of an interview that Sarathi Korwar had done with quite some time back. It's his opinion on what he thinks jazz music and his principles of how he makes what he makes are. Indian classical music and jazz are both ever evolving and reforming styles of music. Neither is static, else they wouldn't still exist and be relevant. Both rely on structured improvisation to continue to change and stay fresh. They rely on new musicians to be constantly at their influences and take the music somewhere that has not been done before. For him, improvisation lets him communicate on it and articulate feelings and ideas that are way beyond the scope of the written, no visual world. It's a personal statement of where he is in the present, honest and deeply intimate. It's a path towards transcendence where his body and mind align and he feels at one with the moment. He calls it a special, beautiful and a fleeting moment, but he believes that through playing music, he's always looking for that one moment in a performance where he can actually achieve that sensation that's the primary drive for what he does. And he did mention as well that it usually always doesn't happen with him. At times it does, but that's the lookout that he's always been for.
So, when we were listening to the previous album, Indo Jazz Suite, this is Nakul and my interpretation, but it kind of felt like the artists and the musicians wanted to prove that the traditions of jazz and Indian classical could coexist. But Sarathi Korwar's generation today, we almost assume coexistence, not just them, like all of us.
Right.
And the question that Sarathi Korwar is asking is no longer can Indian music and jazz work together. He's asking a much more mature question, which is how do we create honestly from our lived experiences? And that shift, I think, marks the maturation of the of Indo jazz as a language in itself.
All right. That was Night Dreamer. I'm sorry. That was Night Dreamer Direct to Disc Sessions by Sarathi Korwar. And the next one that we're going to talk about is
An artist called Joby.
correct. And the name of the album is A Sound Heart.
Right.
So, yeah, a little bit about what the album is. If Indo Jazz Suite, the album that we covered earlier, was about conversation, we could say that this album, A Sound Heart, is about contemplation.
Right.
And it's not trying to prove anything at all. So it's trying to raise a more important question, actually, that can music become a form of spiritual practice, a form of spiritual experience?
Right.
And that's what they're trying to navigate through with this album.
Right. They're trying to connect jazz with Sufism, with Hindustani classical traditions, and even some hints of hip hop in ways that feel extremely natural.
Correct. Talking about Joby, they're based in Lahore, and the name quite literally translates to whatever, Joby.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever sounds beautiful, whatever feels
Feels
true, feels honest, and
Whatever-
whatever serves the purpose of the music. So,
Correct.
yeah. And the best part about this is that it's not just the music that's at the forefront, it's also the city
Of
at
Lahore.
of Lahore that's at the forefront. Because usually when we have conversations about jazz, we don't necessarily see
We don't talk about Pakistan.
Pakistan at all.
Right.
But there are a lot of exciting artists coming about from the city.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
Lahore is very interesting because there's a lot of experimentation that comes out of Lahore.
Right.
Whether it's fusion or world music, for the lack of a better word, or just combining Hindustani classical traditions with things like hip hop production, electronic music, and of course, as we will see on this album, contemporary jazz as well.
Correct. They're not trying to replicate the sounds of what they've been inspired from, but rather they're trying to fit something within the ecosystem of what they've come from.
Right.
So,
Like, interestingly, they don't sound like New York or
Correct.
London or anything like that,
Correct.
which are the commonly associated cities with jazz.
yeah. But we can definitely see the influence of the inspirations that they've had,
Right.
the music that they've listened to.
Right.
John Coltrane, Alice
Right.
Coltrane, they've listened perhaps,
Yusuf Lateef.
and a bit of J Dilla as well.
Which was crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Of course, lots of rags, Hindustani rags.
for sure. And instead of treating those influences as separate genres, they're trying to approach it and see how it can fit one vocabulary in itself.
Yeah, they've also drawn on the Quran and verses from the Quran.
Right.
So yeah, we will see lots of improvisation, ragas, funk, aesthetics from hip hop, and yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get on to the first track. It's called Lahore Blues. And yeah, let's give it a listen.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about the meaning behind the title. And the title comes from a verse of the Quran, specifically the verse 2689, which says, "Accept those who come to God with a sound heart." And for Joby, the sound heart refers to the spiritual heart, a heart that is free from ego, attachment, and doubt. The band describes the album as a meditation on different forms of love. Love for God, love for family, love for a partner, and even love for oneself. Side A, interestingly, represents desire, while side B of the album represents devotion.
We'll only be covering the tracks that perhaps represent desire. The two tracks that we'll be playing, currently the one that we're playing is Lahori Blues, and this is the first track of the album. And the next one that we'll be covering will be the second song of the album, and that is also a part of side A, which kind of represents desire. This song is actually a tribute to Wayne Shorter, and it's kind of like a really strong opening statement that they're trying to make with this song, that Lahore as well belongs in the conversations of the cities when we're talking about jazz.
The lineup is very international as well. So we have Ali Riaz Bakar on the guitar, Sohaib Hassan Khan on the sarangi, Kashif Ali Dhani on the tabla, Eden Cawthorn on the flute, saxophone and the synthesizer, Nick Walters on the trumpet, Marek Latamek Pedze Viatar on the piano and the Rhodes, Tim Carnegie on the drums, and Henry Hicks on the bass.
All right. The next track that we have for you guys from this album is called Chandrakans. And yeah, let's get on with it. If you actually think about it, a lot of music like this, like 20 years back, it perhaps would have been categorized as world music. But the beauty of it all is that today it kind of sits comfortably in conversations of contemporary jazz, spiritual improvisation, and global composition as well. And this shift says just not about the music, but it also kind of says a lot about the audience as well, how they're kind of consuming all of this music. So yeah. Alright, that was the third album, A Sound Heart by Joby. And the last one for this show
is a very interesting
one
group of artists
definitely one of my favorites for sure.
called Mamoji.
Oh, amazing. From one of India's most exciting contemporary fusion groups, this self-titled debut album, Mamoji. It was released in 2023, and it's a high energy meeting point between jazz fusion, between progressive rock, funk, and a lot of Indian rhythmic traditions as well.
Two of the artists in this group are Indian.
Absolutely legends.
And
modern day legends for sure.
Right.
Yeah, probably the best for sure.
Best. So we have Gino Banks, who is a drummer,
Yeah.
son of
The
Louis
legend
Banks.
Louis Banks, yeah.
We have Mohini De, who's on the bass. And we have Mark Hartzuk, who has done, in some ways, he's put together this record, this album.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
done the vast majority of the composition on this album. And he's on the saxophone, and he's composed this as well.
Yeah. And it's quite, I think it's quite important to pay attention to the people a part of this band. Mohini De, I mean, she is perhaps one of the modern day most celebrated electric bassists that we have in this generation currently. And Gino Banks, one of India's premier drummers in the
Right.
scene right now. And yeah, so coming to the sound, it's not traditional jazz fusion in the in like a traditional sense. It's you'll see a lot of snarky puppy grooves within it. You'll see a lot of Hiromi's energy, a lot of progressive rock precision work as well. Yeah, we'll get to the first track for this. The name of the track is called
Club song.
Club Song, and yeah.
All right. That was the club song by Mamoji. And next up, we have Nevermind Vegas. All right, that was Nevermind Vegas by Mamoji. One of the most interesting aspects of this recording was that although they are extremely competent musicians, they are extremely competent musicians technically, but throughout this album, they never lose sight of groove. And the music remains extremely playful, it remains extremely melodic, it remains very danceable as well. And it just kind of sends this message that technical fireworks are not always important. There can be great jazz music, great contemporary jazz music without a lot of technical ornamentation. The next song that we're going to play is called Booty Call, and that is the final song that we have for you for today evening.
We've got a few interesting facts about this album as well. The band actually spent a considerable amount of time performing and rehearsing this live in sessions before refining each arrangement on stage. That was one. There has been a subsequent album that has come post this as well called Mamoji 2. It was released in 2025 and it's showcasing the intention of the project to be an ongoing collaboration rather than just like a one-off experiment. And the album was also released independently in 2023 with a later Japanese CD release through P-Vine in 2025. This kind of was a great reflection to the growing international recognition that artists are kind of getting now. All right. Yeah, that was Booty Call. And I hope through the music that you heard within this album, it kind of is a good representation of how jazz fusion is just not a relic from the 70s or the 80s anymore. The trio has figured out quite a great way to combine world-class musicianship with infectious grooves and contemporary production,
And it is very melodic as well.
and very melodic as well.
So it
It's
can totally be enjoyed by a person who doesn't typically enjoy jazz.
for sure.
Right.
I mean, the best part is you can even dance to it, like, you know. But yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of our show for today. We had 4 albums that we discussed. We had the Indo Jazz Suite. We had Sarathi Korwar's Night Dreams disc, Night Dreamers direct-to-disc recording sessions. Sorry. We had Joby's A Sound Heart, and we had Mamoji's
Self-titled.
debut album, Mamoji.
Mamoji. Yeah.
All right. For the ones who don't have any Saturday plans as of yet, we've got Yoshi spinning the decks at Jonna starting 9 p.m. So
With Dave Switch.
with Dave Switch. So you'd see the both of us there for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, that's also curated by Antariksh Records. So if you're in Delhi, make sure you drop by.
for sure.
And thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
And that is Yoshi and Nakul signing off.
Peace.